Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group. Hello, happy Saturday. Welcome to the Saturday Food Support Group. And we are here chatting with some of the regular people. And Vicki, you wanted to go ahead and start?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about coffee.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Today is day 156 of carnivore.
Wow.
And day 23 of no coffee. And it's, always been a big joke in my family. I mean, everybody always sends me memes about coffee because I'm a coffee freak, coffee fanatic. I've been drinking coffee. We talked about this last time when I told my story, but we talked about how, I wasn't going to give up coffee, basically, because I've always used it in place of what you would use Ritalin for, because I had ADHD.
I remember that.
My mother gave it to me before school every morning when I was in grade school and all the way through high school. And it would help for the last, the first few hours of school. But, it's the reason why I was kicked out of typing class. I was kicked out of home ec class. I was kicked out of band because my teachers couldn't deal with my hyperactivity. And so 23 days ago, I was sitting there and all of a sudden I started not feeling good. And it just made me think of the times that my blood pressure messed up. And now for me, my normal blood pressure is 105/57 always. So if my blood pressure is 127/77, I'm feeling lightheaded. My head, just everything doesn't feel right. And so my blood pressure went up this time to 137/87. And I was like, what is going on? All I've had is my coffee and my Element electrolyte. So the next day, it happened after my second cup of coffee, and I hadn't had my electrolyte, so I couldn't blame them. And so I thought, well, this is my body maybe telling me I need to do something. And so I've gotten really good at listening to my body since being on carnivore. Y'all forgive me of my cold, but so I decided to just cut out the coffee and see what happened. And so the first day, I just I put on my kettle like I always do. I always coffee in a Miko pot, so it's espresso, what it is. And so I just put hot water and some salt in my cup and went outside to go do my daily grounding. And that's what I did. And I think it was day 3 is when my headache hit. Oh, like it was horrifying.
Yeah.
And I did extra electrolyte and also did some of my homemade meat. And that helped, but it didn't get rid of the headache. It took about 3 days to really get rid of the headache. And but on day 8, I decided to do a test.
Okay.
And I made a cup of coffee And so now you have to understand that my coffee is an espresso Miko pot. So you make it on the stove, kind of like camping, but, so I just put maybe a half a cup and I drank it. And for the first time in my 54 years, I know what it's like to have coffee jitters. Excuse me. My hair felt like it was standing on an end. I could feel my skin crawling, and I just was shaking. And I just started just gulping down water, and I went outside and just walked and walked and walked. And it's like the ADHD came back. It's like, what in the world? And it hit me that, maybe carnivore has healed my ADHD, because I've gone all these days without coffee and I'm not having the hyperactivity issues.
Wow.
Because, I've gone on ladies' retreat and I've had different ladies tell me, Vicki, calm down, go drink your coffee, because they know that once I drink my coffee, then it just mellows me out. But not anymore. It's a total game changer. And I'm like, I know I told you, like, I sure wish that I would have known about this in school. It would have changed my whole life, because I struggled all through school because of the hyperactivity. And so it's just amazing, carnivore and IBD, IBS, put my Hashimoto in remission, autoimmune. I'm not having any inflammation whatsoever. It's just so many things that carnivore has done. And I'm only on day 156, and I can't wait to see what else this has in store for me. Now, that being said, because of being sick and for 2 days just eating custard, and by custard, I just do nothing but I do 6 egg yolks with 1/3 of a cup of water, mix that up, and I put it in a little container. Actually, it's an old silicone, big giant muffin pan.
Yeah.
from the old days. And I put it in my Instant Pot. And so I make that. So it just has salt in it, water, and egg yolks. And so I've just been eating that for 2 days, because I haven't been able hard to even swallow.
Yeah, because you've been sick.
So yesterday I had the craziest cravings, and because of just not being able to eat properly, and it was ridiculous. I was craving Biscuitville, chicken biscuits. Number one, I hate biscuits, never have liked biscuits, and I don't like their chicken, so I was craving things I don't even like. So
that's so weird.
Not eating properly, kind of messed up my system. And so in, the 155 days that it was yesterday, carnivore was the first time I'd ever came across cravings in this, because for me, I think it's because I cut out all sugar substitutes, all dairy at the very beginning, and just went meat, salt, and egg yolk and water, and now no coffee. And so, but anyway, once I had my ribeye last night, then it's just all of a sudden, it's like, oh, amazing. I feel great.
Yay. Back to normal. That's so great.
I wanted to share that. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I think it's good to have that different perspective of coffee, because, most people are coming to it because they're such low energy, and you were coming to it to calm you down. And so I know that Amy has some tips on how to break that addiction whenever you do have, or to get off coffee slowly. So Amy, do you want to go ahead and share your 2 cents about getting off of coffee while we're still on that subject?
Yeah. Is it too windy?
No, I'm good.
Go inside? Okay. If it's Bella's like, no, it's not too windy. If it's too loud, let me know.
Okay, sounds good.
I've worked with a lot of people that want to come off of coffee. And so I've had them experiment with the best ways to do that. And for a lot of them, it's best, especially if you're on full leaded coffee, to start incorporating like half and half decaf with. So when I make coffee, I make 12 cups at a time, and I make it last for days and days. So what I ended up doing was, my coffee pot takes 6 scoops of coffee. for every 12 cups. So 5 of those would be regular and 1 would be decaf. And then I would drink that for a couple of days. And then the next time it would be 2 of those would be decaf and 4 of them would be full leaded. So I very slowly kind of switched over to the decaf. Well, the next step after that would be you're on decaf. You can stay there as long as you want to. And then you start doing 1 less scoop for every pot of coffee. And just like she said, she just had some hot water with salt in it, and that was good. Sometimes it's just the heat that we really, really like. Now, what I did is I continued to make it the same way the whole time that I was titrating down and going to decaf and then going to water, because I've come off of coffee like 4 times. And I've always recommended to my clients to do it this way. I still put 1 whole egg in it and a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of coconut oil. You don't have to do the coconut oil. You don't have to do any of that. But it's the creaminess that seems to kind of hit that spot. And it doesn't matter what I put it in. It can be in water. It can be in tea. It can be in coffee. It still hits that same spot, kind of that same comfort area. And for me, adding the extra fat has been a huge game changer, and it's improved my health in so many ways. And I never used to be a big fan of adding or drinking your calories. I was always like, no, I want you to eat your calories. Don't drink them. But now I finally had to admit to myself that what I was doing for a year was not working. And I was getting negative side effects. And so I had to reevaluate everything. So I've gone back to drinking my fatty coffee or water or tea or whatever you want to drink. But that's one way that you'd be able to come off of the coffee much slower and walk yourself down the levels of caffeine addiction so that it's not all at once to give you those really major headaches. You can start putting a little bit more salt in as you exchange it for the coffee. Adding the extra salt will help up your electrolytes because coffee does different things to different people. For some people, it creates cravings and hunger, and in other people, it suppresses cravings and hunger. For some people, it causes headaches. For some people, it's a diuretic. And yet, for others, it's completely different. So I completely understand and support anyone who wants to try to come off of coffee. You can do it cold turkey. It's totally possible. You're not going to hurt yourself. It just kind of stinks. So walking down slowly, and some people find that they actually feel really good with just like 2 scoops of decaf coffee. And that's their special weekend treat once in a while. Or, there's so many different ways to do it. But that's one of the recommendations that I've had for my clients who want to come off of coffee and don't want to deal with the horrible side effects of withdrawing from caffeine. So you can go a lot slower. Hopefully
Awesome.
that helps.
It does. It does. It helps so much. And I thank you so much because I know that I did it the wrong way. And so I don't know how to tell people because I'm not willing to go back to my addiction to get off of it the right way to tell people. So I really appreciate your input, Amy. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Becky, you had something that you wanted to share. I'm sorry. Are you available to talk now? Okay, well, just let me know whenever you're available, Becky, to talk. Okay, Jackie, if you have a minute, if it's a good time for you, I would love for you to share.
Sure, I'm more than happy to share. I just wanted to say this week, kind of sad, my sister called me and a family friend of ours who's our age. I just turned 60, and she is battling for her life, and it doesn't look good. She does have COVID, but also a lot of health factors, obesity and all the things, the diabetes, all the different things. So her body is not strong in fighting the COVID, and she's on life support right now. And it just makes me sad because I think, a couple of people I know that I've asked, that have reached out to me, what did you do? How did you get healthy? Because they saw me the way I was before. I was almost 200 pounds. I'm 5'1", and now I'm 142. Clearly, I feel so much better. I'm able to kayak and bike ride, and I can walk and do all the things that I want to do, anything I want to do now. But there was a time when I couldn't, when I was very unhealthy. So I'm sad. Can you still hear me? Because my mom's calling.
I can hear you.
Okay. It won't interrupt us, but I'll call her back. So I just want to say, even if you could just challenge yourself for 60 days to just get off of all the processed foods and all the sugars and grains and the things that you love to eat. I love to eat those too, but to try this because it is so worth it. Without your health, you have nothing. And now, this dear friend who I love, she doesn't look good. It doesn't look like she's going to make it from my understanding. So I'm really just sad and distressed to know, there is a way to improve your health. You can get off of medications. I'm completely 100% off all medications. And it wasn't Vicky talking about her blood pressure before. Those numbers sound fantastic to me. I used to be uncontrolled blood pressure onto medications, and it's still, they tried all the things, lisinopril, metropropyl, all the different medications to try and control my blood pressure. And they could not. I have a propensity for high blood pressure. And a good day for me was 150/95. That's a good day. I had bad, high, scary blood pressure. Yeah. That you'd go to the doctor and the nurses would be like, oh, this isn't good. Like maybe they should admit me or something because it's so high. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Maybe it's white coat syndrome. Maybe I'm worried about the doctor seeing my blood pressure. And that's true. To this day, I don't like having my blood pressure taken because I think it's going to be high again, but it's not. It's fine. It's good. And I'm not on any medication. So isn't that a miracle? A miracle.
A miracle.
Yeah. And, before I used to have trouble tying my shoes. I would almost pass out because I was so obese. I couldn't, be down there on my feet for that long trying to tie my shoe. And I ended up buying, shoes that I could just slip on. So I didn't have that problem. But now I can actually do the grandma challenge where you get down on the ground without your hands. I actually use them for balance, and get back up without using your hands. And that to me is a miracle just in itself that I can do that, which by the way, I recommend you get on the ground and get back up every day, at least several times. Because if you don't use these ligaments and joints to do that, then someday when you fall, it's harder to get up and maybe you won't be able to get up. But if you use them and do it every day, then you'll be fine. Because partly is mentally, you will know you can do it. So I think, it's good. And that advice was given to me by an 85-year-old lady who I asked, what do you recommend? And this was in my 40s. And she goes, get on the ground every day and get back up.
Wow.
Do it several times a day. So I recommend that to people too. Besides, take more pictures. You'll be glad you have them. Even if you don't like how you look right now, take the pictures. You'll be glad you have them. You don't have to post them. Just take them. Have them.
That's great. That's great. Well, and back to your friend, I think I have so many clients that come to me and one of the first things out of their mouth is, I don't have anything wrong with me. And I'm just like, okay, but then they tell me what they're eating and everything. And then most of the time, the reason that they're coming to me is for, mental health or to lose weight. And I just want to say, but you're gonna have something wrong with you. And so don't wait until you get that diagnosis. Don't wait until you get, that problem that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is a train wreck. Like, what am I going to do? Start now, start small. So,
don't wait till it's too late. I've 3 friends now. Two are gone, one probably going to be. So it just breaks my heart that they did, even that I didn't know about this until I was in my 50s. I wish I had known about it in my 40s or 30s, especially 40s, because that's when everything changed. I used to be average size all my life, not heavy, not light. I just was average. But man, when I hit that 40s mark, everything changed and I couldn't lose weight. I got bad eyesight. I mean, everything just kind of starts to go. And they go, well, that's just old age, dear. Well, I'm here to tell you, no, it's not.
Yes, I loved your talk with you and Karen, because you guys were talking about how good you feel and that you don't have those joint pains and, and just the regular aches and pains that somebody in their 50s and 60s and 70s, say, oh, well, that's just old age.
It's just old age, dear. No, I don't have it. I don't have any joint pain now at all. I can totally do squats and anything I want to do. I can do anything I want to do. That's a miracle.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Jackie. I appreciate
You're welcome.
Your input so much. Becky, are you able to talk? Oh, go ahead, Vicki. You wanted to add something?
Oh, no, I was just going to thank Jackie, because that's, the picture thing is great advice, because I have like years of my life of absolutely no pictures. And if somebody was to snap a picture, I would actually snap at them because I didn't want my picture taken. I'm 5'1" as well, and I was 270 pounds. And so I'm not done yet. I'm 148 now. But and now I just love it. Take my picture, and because the low self-esteem is gone. And, I sing on my worship team and I play the mandolin, but I remember them trying to get me to sing on my worship team. And that's why I'm not there today, because I'm sick. But I wouldn't do it because I was fat. And God just really convicted me of that and said, you need to be up there. And I hated being up there. I loved it and hated it, because I hated it because we video. I was like, and I definitely wasn't going to look at myself. So I never listened to it. I never looked at it because I wasn't going to look at myself, because I hated looking at myself. And so, I started the carnivore journey because I had started out keto and had lost a lot of weight, but I still had all my autoimmune diseases, and I had to get rid of that, because I was tired of suffering all the time and letting my IBS and IBD control where I went and what I did. And so that's all gone now. So I feel a freedom. And I wish somebody would have told me, even when I was fat, to let people take pictures, because I feel bad for my children that they have all these years of no pictures of mom, none. And I was just at my son's house last weekend helping him move, and his dad was there, and they put up all these pictures on their wall. And it's like, out of all those pictures, there's tons of pictures of my son with his sister, with his dad. And there was one of me, one. So, and it's my fault because I wouldn't allow it. So,
Yeah, I think we are very, very hard on ourselves. And I think it's hard for us to get that perspective. But if you think about it, like, the way that a father looks at their children, like with God, the way that he looks at us is he celebrates every moment of our lives, and he celebrates every stage, and all he sees is our beauty. All he sees is the miracle that we are. And, it's got to break his heart that, we are his creation, and we reject it, that we say that we are worthless. We say that we are horrible, because he sees the whole picture. He knew that you were going to walk into this healing. He knew that you were going to. And so for him, I'm sure it's just like, oh, like, stop hating yourself, like, stop despising the way that you look, and just enjoy the beauty of the plan that he has to unfold. So I'm so glad that you're here now, Vicki, and that you're healing. That's such a miracle. Thanks for sharing. Becky, are you able to speak, or are you driving? Are you able to talk, Becky? Okay, well, we'll come back to Becky. But does anybody have any updates that they want to share, or any questions that they have? Just raise your hand, or, put it in the chat. I did want to update you guys a little bit on my journey. So I have been watching the numbers, and that is so against everything that I have been doing with carnivore. I haven't liked measuring my food. I haven't liked weighing my food, nothing. And I definitely would never chase numbers. But I have found that I didn't realize it, but I was running a high blood glucose. And until I started measuring that, I didn't know that I was eating too much protein. I know, like, can you imagine? Yeah, like carnivore, too much protein, like that's just crazy to me. But I actually ate so much protein that I was kicking myself out of ketosis. And ketosis is the whole reason that we do this. And so I just assumed that I was in ketosis, but I didn't know until I started measuring my blood glucose that I needed actually more fat and less protein. And so now that I have found that kind of a gauge that I can measure, I know, and I can see the things that are causing me to increase my blood glucose. And it's the craziest stuff. Like, you wouldn't even think would cause a problem, like, some cream, some dairy, some different things. But now I feel so safe knowing that I can just measure my blood glucose and I can know where I'm at on this journey. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys that even after 3 years of carnivore, I'm still healing and I'm still learning. And I don't say that to discourage you. I say that to encourage you, because if you come up against a roadblock or a problem, that all you have to do is keep looking for answers and you will find them. And it has been amazing watching myself continue to heal more and more. So Becky, were you able to
yes,
talk now?
Yes, I just am here now. Let me just sit down. So I mentioned I was driving to my own driveway and I almost took the wrong turn to my own street and almost got hit by a car. So I'm like, just let me get to the house.
Yeah, no, please don't ever do a meeting while you're driving. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just trying to, I was like, somebody was right there. So anyway, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so just to comment on a few other things. The coffee, one thing that's helped me a lot is I'm drinking a good quality bone broth and then putting a little cream in it and salt and butter. And that kind of helped me to get off coffee. And then I got off of chocolate collagen for months that has stevia in it. And I started trying it again because I thought maybe it was like a bridge to get off of like have something that's sweet, that's stevia, but not like eating junk food, sweet stuff. But I think it's probably better. I tried it for about a week and I think it's like probably not doing good for me. Not because it's making me crave more, but just because I don't think makes me feel good, just the product itself.
Well, and I've heard also that our body doesn't respond well to powdered protein because it actually doesn't recognize it as food.
Okay, because I was trying to get more protein in, because of the weight loss surgery, malabsorption. So they're like big proponents of fake protein, right? Drinking your protein to get it in. But I'm like, you know what? It's the sweet flavor is okay. I didn't think it was making me like, oh, now I got to go eat cake. But then I just didn't feel like really nourished. And I think the chocolate probably has oxalates in it. So I'm like, I'm just going to go back to the bone broth.
Let me
with a
pause
little-
you real quick. Amy, can you weigh in real quick on the powdered collagen?
Yeah, actually, you're completely right. Our bodies respond to the different forms that food come in, which is why the powdered protein, like I was talking about, whether it's whey protein isolate or it's powdered collagen. And I've had a lot of people say, oh, well, collagen isn't a complete protein, so it doesn't count. Your body doesn't care if it's a complete protein or not. If you provide tiny, teeny little pieces of something, your body can digest it super quickly. And because of that, it spikes your insulin. And even Maria Emmerich has said this, that she doesn't recommend whey protein to people because when they consume the whey protein, they notice a spike in their blood sugar. And they're like, where's this coming from? It's because your body absorbs it so rapidly that it raises your blood sugar. Sorry, like all the chickens are right here.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
And so that can cause a blood sugar spike and then an insulin spike and then the potential for a blood sugar crash afterwards. So for some people, the powdered proteins can be almost as reactive as sugar itself.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking like, I'm trying to stock up for the zombie apocalypse in case it happens. So I was thinking like,
And that's good to have on hand.
It is. I'm keeping my protein for the same reason. My powdered collagen is in my pantry and it is ready. That's going to be my protein source if I have no other options. But one way to help buffer that is to add extra fat with it. It will help a little bit. Just, keep that in mind too. Sorry.
It's okay.
Of adding it, whoever had the idea of adding an egg, like I have the collagen that I like I get it at Costco. It's a butcher bone broth that's refrigerated. It's really gelatinous. And I was putting some non-flavored collagen, butter and cream just to make it super tasty and richer in protein. But because I have a protein malabsorption issue with the weight loss. But that is my announcement. That's soon going to be a thing of the past. To see if I can get through this without crying, because I'm just kind of an emotional person. But I have a surgery date, and you guys can be thinking of me and being in prayer. So I live in California, and my husband and I, Jim, are going to travel to Florida to have Dr. Robert Cyrus, the carb addiction doctor, perform a reversal of the duodenal switch for me. It's been 11 years, and I weighed 305 or 304 at the surgery date. My highest was 310. But I was really strong. I was a full-time massage therapist at a sports center, and I was very strong. Now I weigh 125 to 135, 125 to 130, depending on, if you're dressed or not, or if you spit to have that scale go lower. And I'm very weak. I have no muscle strength. I've developed Parkinson's, and I had the weight loss surgery primarily to avoid neuropathy, which my diabetic parents suffered from horribly. And I have horrible neuropathy anyway, probably not due to high glucose, but due to malnutrition. So that's kind of like, well, that was a bad choice. And then I have the bipolar, which through this journey, my bipolar is much more manageable. I had gotten on medication, I think, even though there's negative sides to that, I did get treatment, learned how to manage it better, did more therapy, and then now I'm not taking any bipolar medications. Maybe once or twice a week, I'll take some CBD oil and use that for anxiety. But I used to just take that by the gallon, but now I'm not. So anyway, I I have two surgeries. One's the gastric sleeve, so that makes my stomach smaller, although it's 11 years out, so I can fit quite a bit of volume in there, but maybe not as much as normal. And then the duodenal switch reroutes my intestines. So right now I'm malabsorbing 80% of my fat, 30% of protein, and 30% of carbs, which makes it really hard to stay nourished and to be on ketogenic diet where you want to eat fat instead of protein, because it just causes massive diarrhea. And that's where, like you guys were saying, try the white rice, and sometimes I won't have any diarrhea, but then when I had the interview on Zoom with Dr. Cyrus, he's like, I'm just looking at you, you're really malnourished. And then he saw my blood work and he's like, you're basically dying and starving to death. So I'm like, okay, and I had wanted to get it reversed 5 years ago, but no insurance would cover it. But now that I turned 65 on June 17th, my insurance will cover it 100% as far as I am understanding. So I'm happy about that. And it's so funny because some of his offices are in Jacksonville, Florida. And our daughter, her family's in the Navy. She was in the Navy as a helicopter pilot. Very proud of her and her husband. They lived in Jacksonville for 13 years, and it was just down the street, but I never knew he was there. Now they're stationed in Hawaii. So too bad he doesn't have offices in Hawaii.
Yeah. So when is your date?
I have to be there on August 2nd to do preliminary blood work and get ready for surgery on August 4th. But he said that if everything looks good, he could probably get me on August 2nd to do the surgery. But it's
Awesome.
right up 4th, and just checking in is August 2nd. And then I'm supposed to stay there for maybe a week after to make sure I'm stable. And I'm a little bit worried because after I've had other surgeries, I did go back, for minor complications after a month and, some wound healing issues. But he says he has colleagues here that can help. And I do have my original weight loss surgery doctor here, but he doesn't take any of my insurances now. So I don't really want to have to pay out of pocket for that. But he did so, but I'll have him as like a reference,
Yeah.
Cyrus says he had.
Yeah, Becky, wouldn't it be amazing if this surgery allowed you to absorb the nutrients from your food? Because I do think that you've really been doing a great work to eat better. And now you're going to be able to reap those rewards of having more mental stability and having better health. So I'm really encouraged. I'm excited about this switch for you.
Dr. Cyrus, I gave him the basic diet that my husband and I follow. And he's like, I love your diet. You're doing good. I know you still have some carb addiction, but we can work on that. Specializing, not trying to help people to overcome that, just like you do. And I told him I was working with you and Kelly Hogan, and he's like, oh, awesome. That's awesome. And I'm always putting your name, like anytime I see anybody at the grocery store, I'm like, here, write down this name, Emily Penton.
Aw, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I appreciate that. That blesses my heart. Because I just want to help people.
Scared because there's a reason why I had the surgery, because I couldn't handle it, but I know that I can do it, and it's the best thing to do. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, keep us updated, Becky, and we will continue to keep you in our prayers. No problem.
I tried to take a screenshot last week of, I think it's Shelly that talked about the breast implant illness, because I did get breast implants because I lost all the fat where I didn't want to lose it in my breast. And the screenshot didn't take it.
Okay, at the end of the meeting, just stick around and I'll have Shelly give you that information at the end of the meeting after we're done recording, okay?
Florida, so I thought maybe I'd try to see him while I'm there.
Okay, well, just wait till the end of the meeting and we'll get you that information.
So much. I love you guys. I appreciate all your support.
Thanks, Becky. Allison, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a question.
Yeah.
I just I'm not sure if I shared this part of my background, but I was born with a very rare condition called Hirschsprung's disease. And I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that, but basically my colon was not working properly, and they had to do an emergency surgery as a baby, and then 2 other surgeries that first year of life. So basically, you know, normally your colon, I don't know how long your colon normally is, my large colon, say it's 60 feet, I have about 15 feet. So I have like this much. And so I had to have a colostomy bag for the first year of my life. And I was very ill, like really underweight. And then I've had diarrhea pretty much my whole life because of that. And my question is, you know, this is kind of like my last resort, like the carnivore diet. I've tried many other diets, and my doctors, I've always had a GI doctor throughout my whole life pushing, you know, fiber. I get colonoscopies regularly. But the fiber doesn't work for me. It actually, whether I'm on fiber or not, it's still the same. It's still the same. But I'm just hoping that the carnivore diet will work. But I'm starting to work with this coach, and our thoughts together were basically like, because I had constantly diarrhea, like, how do I know if I'm absorbing anything? But now that I'm on carnivore, do you think the meat I'm absorbing, but then I'm pushing out other things? You know, this is just about 3 to 4 weeks now for me. And I've always had an issue with like fatigue. And I'm wondering if it's because of the malabsorption, you know, with that condition. And I know it's similar to, what are the other conditions that people have, like all the colitises?
Oh, like ulcerative colitis.
Yes, like that people have to just go to the bathroom. Like as soon as I eat, I have to go. Like I can't, like it's coming, you know, and that's how it's been pretty much my whole life, you know. So.
Well, I'm definitely not a medical professional at all, but my 2 cents would be that if you are having trouble with malabsorption, that eating the most nutrient dense foods would be what your body needs. And so for me, I just thought of it like 2 completely separate roads. Like, do I go eat junk food and, you know, sugar and carbs, or do I go eat the most nutrient dense food? And so it was just like a no-brainer. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
there is no other path. Like,
yeah.
Even if this doesn't completely resolve everything, like this is the best path to go towards animal meat and animal fat. Amy, what's your 2 cents?
Ooh, the wind got chilly. I was listening to what you were saying, and I remember some of the videos and the books that I've just recently read by Dr. Boz. They talk about healing with a Paleolithic ketogenic diet. And that, in layman's terms, is a high-fat carnivore diet. And high fat is actually the key. And I've had so many people tell me, well, I can't do high fat because I have diarrhea. In both of Dr. Boz's books and in many of her videos, she says very blatantly, if you suffer from diarrhea from high fat, you need this diet more than 99% of other people. Oh. Because it's the fat that can actually heal the lining of your gut. It can heal your intestines. It can reduce the inflammation. So while you are having the diarrhea and it is because of malabsorption, part of the problem could actually be the protein. The protein could be raising your insulin too much. When your insulin is up, your inflammation is up. It's just the way that it works. And so I did my own experiments where I reduced my protein and I could watch my blood sugar numbers come down. And the diarrhea squishy stool for me lasted about a week, and then it was done. Now for you, I would expect it to last longer because it's been something you've been dealing with for your entire life. But if you'd be willing to do that experiment, you may find that lower protein reduces your inflammation, which makes your body work better. Because when we're inflamed, everything's kind of swollen, and even more can get through your intestines when it shouldn't be. Whereas if you're uninflamed, diverticulitis and the ulcerative oh my gosh, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
All of those are actually being proven to be healed with a Paleolithic ketogenic diet. Paleolithic meaning like, a long time ago, and then ketogenic meaning you're actually in a high state of ketosis. And for a lot of people, the only way to achieve that is a lower amount of protein. Because even though protein is not bad, it does have to trigger insulin to be broken down. And if you have a higher state of insulin, you're not making the ketones. I thought for sure. And I even talked to Dr. Boz on my channel, and she said, you need to get into ketosis because you've got autoimmune conditions and possibly Lyme. And I said, oh, well, I'm a carnivore. I'm in ketosis. And she kind of smiled at me and she said, probably not. And I was like, wait, seriously? So I got out my Keto Mojo and I was like, I'm going to prove her wrong. I'm going to be in ketosis. I was not in ketosis. I had the tiniest little bit amount of ketones. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. It's not going to work, but I'm going to try it. She was 100% right. It worked. And I immediately called Em and I told her, I was like, honey girl, listen to this. So we're a little bit passionate about it right now, but I highly recommend looking at her content because she has so much out there about, like, she works with the sickest of the sick people. That's who her clients are.
I looked over her book last year. And how would I be able to find out all the ratios you're talking about, like for my specific, like, because I don't know what you mean by higher fat or,
Emily and I actually just did the video on my channel, so I can go ahead and link it into your group, Em.
Okay.
Unless your dad wants to grab it right now from my channel and he can link it over there. We walk through how to go through a chronometer and figure out how much you should be eating protein wise. It's the best place to start is 1 gram per 1 kilogram of ideal body weight, not desired body weight, but ideal body weight from like the BMI charts. So it's quite a bit less than we think it should be. And then fat, I usually say double that and try that. And of course,
because
carbs are
right
with
now
20
I'm just
and
doing
less.
more protein and not that much fat. I'm just eating like eggs and bacon for breakfast and then like steak or ground beef for dinner or lunch. So you need more fat than that.
Yeah, it's quite the experiment, and some ideas for adding in fat. You could do like the bacon mayonnaise. You could do egg yolk waffles. If you can handle dairy, it's 2 egg yolks, a tablespoon of melted butter, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. They make the most incredible waffles that you can use for buns. You can use just by themselves. They are absolutely phenomenal. You can make them savory with spices or leave off the spices. You can make them just plain or add some cinnamon if you're doing that. You don't have to do any of those. And so you can do like mayonnaise, egg yolks, aioli sauce, hollandaise sauce if you're doing dairy. Then I do like sour cream once in a while. I don't do a whole lot of dairy, but I'll do like the harder cheeses like Parmesan. I'm okay with that. So it takes a little bit of time to tweak. I think Emily's dad put it into the chat box, so that video should be there.
Yeah, I'll watch that. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome.
And then he says, that's the video there in the chat. So if anybody's watching this and doesn't have access to the chat, go to Carnivore's Angel on YouTube, and it is one of her most recent videos. And we really break it down. We really talk about the details of it.
And then the egg yolk waffles, it's 2 yolks, 1 tablespoon of melted butter. I melt the butter in a bowl first, then I separate out my eggs. I save my whites because I don't want to throw anything away, so I just freeze them. and then a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, not baking soda. And you can make it yourself, so it's a little bit cleaner. I need to do that video too. And you just mix it up really, really good with a fork, and then pour those into little mini waffle makers, or you can make pancakes with them, or you can make muffins with them. Lots of different options. But they are fantastic for getting your fat up. And they've been like a huge bridge for a lot of people. For Vicky, I think Vicky asked for that recipe again.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps.
Perfect. Yes. And I have actually gone back to many of my clients who I've helped break their addiction to sugar and carbs, and heal their mental health and heal their body. They don't have the aches and pains, but the scale didn't move. And so I've gone back to some of those clients, and they are having results by lowering their protein and increasing their fat ratio. So the future, we will see how this works and how this plays out. But Dr. Boz has taught Amy and I so much. And everything that I learn, I will continue to share with you guys. And I had no idea that blood glucose mattered. I had no idea, but now I do. Now I know, and we're just going to continue healing. So thank you so much, Allison. That was a great question. All right. Well, we are at the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting, but thank you guys so much. I love all these questions. I love this conversation. And I will see you next Saturday. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right.